NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte said less than 48 hours ago that peace talks with Russia will start, quote, when Ukraine is in a position of strength, end quote. Excuse me? A position of strength? When exactly is that going to happen? When Atlantis rises back up from the ocean floor? Or when Narnia is now reachable again by wardrobe? Bro, every day that the war in Eastern Europe continues, more Ukrainians lose their lives. The draft, the conscription method, is already being considered to be lowered to the age of 18 in Ukraine. Can you imagine how many Ukrainian men could potentially be sent to their death on the front line against the battle-hardened forces of the Russian Federation if the war drags on into 2025? The NATO Secretary General continues, saying at one point, quote, we must do more than just keep Ukraine in the fight. We must provide enough support to change the trajectory of this conflict once and for all, end quote. Okay, how far removed from reality can you get and still get behind a mic and actually speak on this issue? Russia, who holds fully or partially 5 Ukrainian states, giant tracts of territory, the oblasts of Crimea, Luhansk, Donetsk, Kherson, and Zaporizhia, and have held them for 2 years or more, that same Russia that has switched to a wartime economy that has actually grown in GDP, you want to help Ukraine to the point where the war shifts in their favor. Nothing, guys, except NATO member states, and I mean the big Western ones, entering the war directly can switch the trajectory of this Ukrainian defeat. Russia has soloed Ukraine and over 30 NATO allies, all supporting Ukraine in one way, shape or form for the last 2.5 years. How on earth are you going to switch things up from that and then negotiate from a position of power? Why are you smoking? Because whatever it is, it's some strong stuff. Unless, of course, your motive is not to help Ukraine win, but your motive is to keep Russia busy. Unless your motive is not at all to do what is good for Ukrainians, but rather to do whatever it takes to waste Russian resources and Russian lives using Ukraine as a proxy for NATO, using Ukraine as a punching bag. It's not directly said, but America and NATO allies in Western Europe might as well bravely announce, we are willing to fight Russia to the bitter end, to fight Russia till the last Ukrainian man standing, right? After all, it's not British soldiers dying. It's not French or German or American soldiers dying. So it's easy to puff up your chest and say, we will keep fighting, because you're not doing the fighting. If a peace deal can be reached, a peace deal must be struck for the benefit of Ukrainians and Russians on both sides of the border, wherever that border shifts to. Enough lives had been lost in Eastern Europe to serve the politicians and strategists sitting comfy in Western Europe and across the damn Atlantic Ocean, of course, over in the States. Russia cannot be beaten without direct conflict, and direct conflict with NATO is a disastrous suggestion in and of itself. Or do we actually have to wait for Trump to enter office for any reasonable decision to be made? Is that what the Western world has come to? Trump is the voice of reason. God save us all. See you on the next one. Oh my God.